Having problems with that disposable tin, especially when you have an 18-pound turkey in it. You don't want to dump it on the floor. Believe me, I did that years ago. Use one of your racks, pull the turkey out, put it on there, and then pick the rack up and put it up on the stove to check it. So we're halfway there. I know it doesn't look like much now, but we have a ways to go. I put it up to 300 about a half hour ago. I'm used to cooking with an electric oven. Temperature is what it is. It shouldn't really matter. You can see I'm starting to get the fat to be falling down inside. So I check my giblets. I'm going to take my giblets, I'm going to put it in this pan, and I'm going to eat them for a snack. No sense in checking the temperature now. It's got at least 2.5 hours, at least 2.5 hours left. So I figured that I would show how I'm going to make the potatoes, seeing as how I have to do part 3 to wrap up the stuffing. And I'm cooking the potatoes now an hour before, or an hour and a half before I'm ready to pull the turkey out. And the reason for that is it's going to take a while the way I'm going to do it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook the potatoes for about 15 minutes, okay, in salt water, substantial amount of water, at least 2 inches over the potatoes, right? Then you don't need to rinse them off, okay? So then about 45 minutes before I'm ready to pull the turkey out, which isn't too far away, okay? I will put the potatoes into my pan, okay, with some butter, and then I'll put the pepper all over the potatoes, right? And then I'll cover it and I'll put it in the oven, okay? And I'll roast those potatoes, and then what I'll do is I'll mash them. And it's a different way of mashing it, because when you boil it all the time like that, you take a lot of minerals out of it, and also it gets kind of watery, you know, so you have to use more flavor. Listen, you roast your potatoes in here, right, with some flavorings or whatever you like. You know, I'm pretty simple. I'm just going to use butter. I'm going to use black pepper, right, and some cream, that's all, right? And then I'm going to mix the corn in with it to make a potato corn side. That's the way I like to do it. I'll make them separately. I mean, I'm not going to show you how to warm up a can of corn, right? But I think that doing the potatoes, right, and the way I'm going to do it is useful. And then later, I think I'll do a short on the ice cream. I'm not going to do the salsa, I don't think. So we got a ways to go, and when I get ready to, after I'm done cooking these, I'll be ready to put them in the oven. Okay, so the potatoes are parboiled. Okay, you don't want the fork to be able to go through it. Maybe just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch, just so you know that the outside, you know, was absorbing water and that the whole potato is at a good temperature, right? Then I sprayed some olive oil on the top. I'm not ready to use the butter and the cream, right? I have to finish cooking the potatoes. So then I put the pepper on, and you can see, even if you I don't have to measure that, because people eat all the time, right? You know how much pepper you want on your potatoes, right? It's easier to do it this way, right? I don't have to measure it out. I just take my grinder and I put the pepper on top, and then I can finish the flavor off later. But that pepper is going to try to permeate the potatoes. Now I'm going to cover it so that I can keep the moisture in there, make them look let them go a little longer, right? And it still will vent out the side, the moisture. All right, but it'll hold temperature. And I'll put this in the oven for about 45 minutes. So now, as you can see, I got my potatoes at the top rack. I couldn't put the lid on. I had used tin foil, but that's fine. So in about 45 minutes, we'll be taking out the works. We'll be looking at the turkey, and we're probably gonna have to take the top rack out to brown it and baste it. Right, and then we'll be taking it out and letting it cool while I'm working on the mashed potatoes, huh? Okay, looking good in the neighborhood. Okay, it's about 15 minutes before I have to do my first temperature check on the turkey. I pulled out the potatoes. Let's see what we got here. Oh, what are we doing? All right. So, let's see what we got here. Oh, look at that. Huh? Look at that. Nice. All right, so what I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and finish mashing that up. Then add the butter and the cream. I mean, most people can figure that out. Because I like a lot of butter. Some people don't like butter. Some people like garlic. I mean, listen, you know what you like. It's technique that you have to focus on. The technique on how you want to cook thing, and so now the moisture from the potato itself actually steamed it, not the water in the pot. So I should have more nutrients here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll take the turkey out and we'll do our first temperature check. Okay, coming down the wire, I'm doing my first temperature check on the turkey. It's not going to be browned, right? But this is the first temperature check. It's been 5 hours. I've been through this routine before. I have the thermostat right here, and I'll pull the turkey out shortly, and I'll let you take a look at that with me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you right now, without the thermometer, that this is a cooked bird. But we're going to go ahead and put the thermometer in there and take a reading. I can't hold the phone and do that at the same time. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's falling off the bone here. That breast meat should be good. This, it's just not browned right here, right? And it's not browned right there, but those tips aren't the main importance. The main importance is the breast meat, right? Because they can't eat the whole thing. So what I do is, like they say, rest it, right? Well, let me tell you what I do. It works for me. I'll let it sit there for a little bit, right? Before I take the temperature. I'm gonna take the temperature in a minute. But then I'm gonna cut that whole breast right off the bone. Then I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to put it in quart bags and throw it in the freezer. Believe me, that meat will be so tender, right, when it comes out of the freezer. I'll just leave that portion in there to freeze. Then I got this whole other half, which I can't eat either. I'll peel that whole breast off, cut that in half, keep half of it to consume now. And if a guest comes that I invited, I have that on hand. I can always put a whole dinner in there and just reheat it later for anyone if I want. And then you can see how the stuffing is just exploding out of there, right? That's a good sign. Look at that. Right, so in the old days, if you didn't have a thermometer, right, you had to be a little more careful. But, this right here, I'm telling you, that's at temperature. See how it's falling off? It's just not browned. It's browned up here, but again, the skin to me doesn't matter. I'm not going to eat the skin. It's just I have to butcher this soon, right? So that I preserve the breast meat is at this temperature, and then I chill it, stop it from cooking. And believe me, it'll make good sandwich meat, whatever you want. Casserole, soups, right? And so I focus on the legs. On Turkey Day, I'll keep some breast meat also fresh, and so I'm going to now take a temperature and I'll put it in and we'll take a look at it. That's all the way in the stuffing. That's far more in than any part of the bird, and that's cooked perfectly. There is error in these things. They don't report that, but it says 165, and based on my experience, that's a done deal. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to carve it up. All right. And then I'm going to, because I'm way in there. I'm at least 2 inches in there. Way in there. Right. That's hot. If I want that, okay, we could go ahead and check this breast meat way back in here. Right. Let's take a look at that. Right. See, it's much hotter. It's like 180. So I have to get it off. And I have to chill it immediately so it stops cooking. Now, hopefully, I've had it at this temperature before. It's the stuffing that I needed at 165 for sure. So you can see from the outside how hot the meat is right there, right? And versus the inside. So I cooked that stuffing before I put it in there. And I'm just a little bit over on the meat that I want. So now I have to use the cooling technique in the freezer. Just wanted to show how juicy this is. I don't want to squeeze it. I got to get it in the bag real quick, but I mean, it was just falling apart. It's so juicy, right? Okay, I have the turkey breast in here, right? And that's going to be scrumptious. I mean, take my word for it, right? That's 1.5 breast right there. And, you know, a couple of times in there I said chicken. You know, I'm not going to sweat over it, but you do a chicken the same way. Chickens are smaller and you have to, you know, do things a little different, but that's why you have to learn the thermodynamics of the situation. That moisture is not going anywhere. And I put this in the refrigerator in case I get a guest that wants to show up. And then I can reheat this, right? But it's in this bag and it's cooling down. Look how juicy that is, man. I mean, it's I already tried it. So, that's my dinner. To be quite honest with you, that's about as much food as I eat in an entire 24-hour period. I like to eat my carbs in the morning. I'd have something like the potatoes or this or some pasta. And then I'll eat the meat at night, like something like this. So really, I had a couple of snacks to work my way up here, right? I probably won't eat all of this, but again, I can, you know, reheat it. And that's about it. You know, I have this turkey butchered pretty much. There's a lot of scraps on there that I can use to make for sandwiches and soups and stuff that I'll be dealing with, but there's no need for me to show you that. I think I've accomplished my task today. So, I hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving 2022 and you enjoyed the football games, and I hope that you enjoyed your day with your family and your friends, or however you choose to do. But there's one thing that I will never cut myself short on, is my food. Till next time, think free and be free.